by Holly Goldberg Sloan. Chapter 9. It turns out that there are things to eat high up in the treetops. Appleblossom hears buzzing and looks over at a moth. She has eaten moths before, and while they are often dusty, dry, and bitter to the taste, they have a nice crunch. So Appleblossom grabs the insects and pops it into her mouth. And as often happens, she doesn't realize how hungry she is until she starts chewing. She finishes the moth and sees just inches away a slug, moving slowly down the tree branch and leaving a trail of thick goo. This is a prize. Appleblossom pulls on the slug. It stretches long and thin, but she is stronger than the suction, and it pops off. Delicious. No other way to describe it. She decides to investigate other areas of the tree, and she is rewarded for the effort. 2 limbs down, she finds a cankerworm. What follows are a Japanese beetle, a leaf miner, a tent caterpillar, a fruit worm, and a line of red termites. Finally, hours later, she hits upon her greatest discovery, a long-abandoned beehive. Inside are honey and pollen, as well as still moist larvae trapped in hundreds of small chambers. She has never eaten anything so sweet and satisfying. The tree is a buffet of tasty treats, but it is also a trap. Because as Appleblossom savors the beehive, she loses track of time, and when she finally takes notice, it is too late. The black is gone from the sky and pink is seeping up on the horizon. The sun is only minutes from climbing out of the hills. Appleblossom argues with herself. Should she try to go down the tree, or will it take too long to get to the ground? If she made it, could she squeeze behind a woodpile or find her way back to the mulberry hedge? Every moment she struggles to make a decision and an opportunity lost. And then the shadows give way to the full illumination of the now terrifying world. What will become of her? She is high off the ground in a tree, but exposed to monsters, at least if they look up. And then her worst fear happens. A door opens on the house and a dog is released. Appleblossom watches as the monster charges into the grassy area and heads straight for the tree. She tightens her grip into the bark and does her best not to move a muscle. Down below, she sees the hairy creature lift his back leg and shoot liquid right at the tree. And then the dog puts his nose to the ground and sniffs. What follows is highly unexpected, at least from Appleblossom's point of view. After a few sniffs, the dog abruptly stops his investigation of the tree and moves to a round red ball that is in the grass. He uses his mouth to pick it up. Mama Possum has taught her babies about balls. They come in all colors and sizes, but they aren't food and can't be eaten. Like most of the things the people make, balls are useless. But that doesn't stop the people from throwing them and hitting them with sticks and tossing them into nets. According to Mama, it is the saddest thing. For hours on end, people watch each other chase balls on their light boxes. Now Appleblossom's eyes stay on the dog with the red ball wedged in his jaw. He starts to run in circles around the yard. He gallops hard and fast, covering as much area as possible. He runs and runs and runs, and then the door of the house opens again. The dog stops running, and one of the people appears. Appleblossom holds her breath. This is a close encounter of the real kind. Right below her is one of the other most dangerous monsters in the world. Appleblossom strains to get a good look and sees the brown fur on top of the people's head. The creature is not big and does not look very scary. Mama Possum has explained that the people control the dogs. Well, Mama is right, because the dog runs to the people and drops the ball at her feet. Then the dog takes off, zigging and zagging around in a crazy way. The people shouts the words, "Columbo, come here, forget the ball." The voice is firm, but does not sound angry. The dog stops and locks eyes with the people. It is some kind of standoff. The dog moves first. He runs back and picks up the ball with his mouth, and then he drops it again. And then the dog sits down and sort of cries. At least that's what it sounds like to Appleblossom. A small whimper. Little Appleblossom forgets that she is scared. Now she is just interested. She watches as the people walk straight out into the dew-covered grass and picks up the red ball. The dog jumps to his feet as his mouth opens and he makes a high-pitched noise filled with anticipation. The people throws the red ball. It sails through the air, then hits a wooden fence and bounces back into a bush. And the dog goes insane. He runs after the red ball at an intense speed and then dives into the shrubs headfirst. He emerges only seconds later with the red ball again in his mouth. His eyes are now wild and he is so excited that he runs in circles, his head held high and his long ears flapping. But by this point, the people has moved back to the house. The people shouts, "No more ball!" Appleblossom watches as the dog slows down. She believes he is acting because he looks really heartbroken. He is a very strong actor. He finally drops the useless red ball and goes to the people. The people then leans down and pats the head of the dog, and Appleblossom can see a look of kindness. The people has to know how hopeless the dog is, and she is taking pity on him, or else rewarding his performance. And then the people returns to her house, and the dog follows, but not before looking one last time with real emotion at the useless red ball. Stay tuned for Appleblossom the Possum, Chapter 10.